For a Jedi Padawan, there is only one goal in their entire lives: to complete their training under their master and to achieve the coveted rank of a Jedi Knight. The Jedi Knights are the backbone, the bulk of the Jedi Order, the faces of everything that they stand for. Each knight is referred to as the arms and legs of the Jedi, journeying out to all corners of the galaxy to seek peace and justice. For at least a decade, the Padawan will train under a master to learn all they can about the Force, what it means to be a Jedi, and then one day, whether because they accomplish a great feat, or if their master deems them worthy, they take on the trials of a Jedi Knight, and join their brothers and sisters with the badge of knighthood. But then what? What changes in the first couple of days of a newly knighted Jedi? What are the implications that come with this new rank and new responsibility? Well, join us today as we open up another holocron and explore exactly what happens when a Padawan passes the trials and becomes a Jedi Knight. Let's start by order and going of how a graduated Padawan would experience this. Their knighting ceremony is the first step. This was an incredibly special time for the Jedi, where after they pass the trials or accomplish a task equivalent to the trials, the High Council deemed them to be ready to be knighted. The night before the ceremony, the Padawan would ascend to the Heart of Tranquility Spire at the Jedi Temple. This was the tallest and the centermost tower within the entire Temple of Coruscant. Within that spire, there was a preparation room where the Padawan would sit and meditate on their future path as a knight. It was here where they were expected to decide what they wanted to do with the rest of their life as a Jedi, how they would go about pursuing their goals once the ceremony was completed. While this part is typically supposed to be done alone, it was not uncommon for other Padawans to be in the preparation room together at one time. However, socializing was frowned upon, as this was supposed to be a time when they were reflecting on their journeys, making plans for the future and meditation, connecting deep with the Force. On this day, the Padawan would leave the preparation room and ascend to the next room of the Tranquility Spire, the Hall of Knighthood. This would be where the Jedi Council would be waiting for them. If the members of the High Council were unavailable at the time, then they would be supplemented with members from the other 3 lesser councils. The Hall of Knighthood had no artificial lighting and used only natural light, but the curtains were closed for the ceremony, leaving it completely dark, save for the glow of all of the council members igniting their lightsabers in a ring around the student. The Grand Master would lead the ceremony, where they recited the ancient passages used for this great time. By the right of the council, by the will of the Force, I dub thee Jedi Knight of the Republic. They said this while holding their lightsaber above the young Jedi's shoulder, and if they were of a species that wore a Padawan hair braid, this would be severed by the Grand Master's lightsaber. This ceremony was the traditional way, but there were exceptions made during times of war, where this process was not possible. In some cases, a Jedi Master would be allowed to knight their own student in a similar method. From here, the rank of Knight instantly granted them all of its privileges, the first and foremost of which being total freedom. No longer do they follow the whims and wishes of their master, nor do they trail around them at all times. They are greeted by their fellow Jedi with respect and dignity, being now addressed by their name rather than simply being called Padawan or Young One. Not only this, but they now have a voice in deliberations such as political debates, battlefield briefings, and official meetings. A lot of fresh Jedi Knights are usually unsure of what to do with this newfound freedom and responsibility, since they have always been taught to listen and not speak, and to always follow exactly what their master instructs them to do. At this point though, they were granted a brand new privilege, being able to customize their own clothing. While some Jedi Masters permitted their Padawans to wear what they like, it is typically expected for students to always wear the traditional robes of a Jedi. Even Knights are encouraged to continue this practice, but some choose to change their appearance and to personalize their style to suit their desires or ideals. And now, they are no longer following a set schedule in their daily lives, but they forge their own schedule when not on missions. According to the wise words of the Jedi Master Crick Sunburus, who was given some Padawans advice on this lesson, he says, "Your time is no longer subject to the demands of a master, so neglect of your exercises is at your own peril. Each day I set aside time for 1 hour of running, 1 hour of unarmed combat drills, and 1 hour of saber cadence or sparring. It is now up to the individual knight to ensure that their skills remain sharp, ensuring that they stay up to date with their own training. And speaking of training, just because a student is no longer under the tutelage of a Jedi Master, this does not mean that their learning is to be ceased. They are now granted access to the next level of knowledge within the Jedi way: alter abilities. As a Jedi youngling, the first greatest path that they would learn was that of control, the branch of the Force techniques that center on the self and one's body. These powers are able to refresh yourself with the Force, carrying one body beyond the physical limits, and maintaining internal focus. As a Padawan, they learn Sense, the family of the Force abilities that deal with being able to perceive the Force around them, becoming connected with the living and the cosmic. This includes detecting life, pre- and post-cognition, telepathy, and feeling the emotions of other beings, or projecting one's own feelings to others. Alter abilities are different. This is the next step of their training. As the name suggests, it is the way of using the Force to alter the physical world around you. Many Padawans have already begun to learn the ways of alter under their master, but when one officially becomes a Jedi Knight, they are expected to plummet to the depths of this field, to study it as much as they can in order to make it second nature. Alter abilities include telekinesis as its most basic application. The temple provides knights with training chambers to aid them in this practice. One exercise is the oxygen bottle, which is when a Jedi exercises their precision by filling an empty bottle with oxygen molecules, those that they have plucked out of the air directly. This teaches the Jedi how to manipulate the Force on a small level. In the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, there is also what is known as the Kudaka Chamber. This is where the Jedi Knights practice their strength of telekinesis with the Muntur stones. Each of these weighs several hundred tons. Even jostling a single stone is considered a mark of great success. Grandmaster Yoda at the age of 700 could only lift 5 of the 6 stones at once. Other alter abilities include the Jedi Mind Trick, or as they prefer to say, Affect Mind, or Alter Environment. This I feel is one of the most neglected abilities of many Jedi, especially during the Clone Wars. This is to connect them with the living Force to alter the natural world around them. Plant Surge, or Constor Sato, allows a Jedi to cause vines or plants to harmlessly ensnare their enemy or block their path. The Jedi also learn to turn a body of water into a weapon if they need to, manipulating the water to create great waves to smash upon their enemy fortification. All of these abilities, and more, fall into the alter category of a Jedi Knight, and a Knight is expected to study and eventually master all of this, utilizing the more dangerous, complex methods of the Force. But within a small period of time of being knighted, a Jedi must choose one of 3 specialized disciplines. Each of these disciplines will define their career moving forward. There is the Guardian, the Consular, and the Sentinel. For the Jedi that wish to be boots on the ground, experience the heroics of lightsaber combat, and helping the innocents of the galaxy firsthand, the Guardian will be their chosen path. This comes with the subcategories of Peacemakers and Peacekeepers, who serve as the police and the law enforcement at the request of the Republic. Aces, which are the Force-trained pilots of the Jedi Starfighter Corps, and other subgroups, such as the Exotic Weapon Specialists. These are those who choose to study the art of combat, using strange variants of lightsabers or weapons that the Jedi are not normally familiar with. And then you have Temple Security. In the expanded universe, the Temple Guards and the Door Watchmen fall under the Guardian category as well, rather than in Legends where they fall under the Sentinel banner. But those Jedi that are drawn to research, teaching, diplomacy, and the deeper study of the Force may choose the method of a Consular in that path. This Consular path includes the subcategories of a Seer, those that study the will of the Force. They attempt to look at things from remote distances in either space or time, receiving visions of the future to record within holocrons, or to look at outcomes that the Council has questions about. And of course, you have the Consular path, which includes the Jedi healers, researchers, ambassadors, diplomats, and the lore keepers. And finally, you have the most interesting, the Jedi Sentinels. This is something that we've addressed deeply before, but this was sort of a catch-all in between the path of a Consular and a Guardian. A Sentinel path was for those who were very specialized in their skills. They learned how to meld civilian knowledge with the Force in order to accomplish difficult and often clandestine tasks for the Order. This would include such things as espionage, tech splicing, and intelligence gathering. Sentinels are often not on Coruscant, but in the far reaches of space, either undercover or serving as Jedi watchmen over a specific planet or sector. It is this category where the infamous Jedi Shadows reside. These are the Sentinels whose job it is to hunt down and destroy all traces of the dark side in the galaxy. Before the era of the Clone Wars, they were the ones that were coming in the most conflict with the dark side. We've come up with some deeper breakdowns of each of these classes before, but if you would like a holocron all about each respective path and its subdivisions, then please let us know. Regardless of what path a Jedi Knight decides to choose though, they are still beholden to the will of the High Council. The High Council are the ones who allocate the missions to individual members of the Order, but how the Jedi Knight goes about these missions is not entirely up to them. the Order will provide them with a stipend of credits that they deem necessary for the mission at hand, along with a suitable transportation, assuming that the Jedi did not have their own starfighter. It's actually unclear in the lore whether the Jedi are given a starship of their own upon knighthood, or if it's something given only to Guardians or members of the Order during times of war. But on most occasions, transportation is arranged using the Consular-class light cruiser, or the Republic-provided transports. And once on assignment, the Knight is basically free to handle their situation at will. This is usually the time when a Jedi Knight defines their career on how efficient or wise they take care of each mission. This will determine whether or not they are given a Padawan themselves. And of course, once a Jedi has spent a suitable amount of time in their life as a Knight, they choose a Padawan of their own. This is a decision of incredible responsibility, but if done correctly, the reward is great. Training a single Padawan to knighthood is one of the tickets to the rank of Jedi Master, so that may be an encouraging factor for many Knights who take upon themselves a student. But that, my friends, in a nutshell, is everything that changed for a Padawan when they attained the next rank. Overnight, their lives entirely shift into a completely new reality. It is a lot different than Padawan life. They now have freedom, responsibility, choice, perhaps an intimidating amount of all of it. It was a time of grave responsibility. As the first few days of a Jedi Knight, they are making decisions that will determine the path for the rest of their lives. But my friends, what do you think? If you were in the Jedi Order, what path would you prepare for? And would you be prepared for the dramatic shift from Padawan to Jedi Knight? And was this something that you had been wondering about? Tell us your thoughts, and if there's anything that we mentioned in today's holocron that grabbed your attention, let us know what other topics you want to see us cover. As always, my friends, thank you so much for joining us in the archives here today, and may the Force be with you.